Good morning. Today, the topic of this talk is Tibetan word. It's called Dendel, which means the interdependency or interdependent the relation. And this topic, the interdependency, is very essential kind of the view and meditation and the conduct in general in Buddhism, because the concept of the interdependency is something that is very much related to our daily life. If you observe or analyze the teachings of the Four Noble Truths, so that is given by our Lord Buddha in Saranath, which was the first turning the wheel of Dhamma. It's a principle of causality and its effect. But if you analyze more into deeper, more precisely, then you will be able to see the interdependent, the relation between a cause and its effect. So, external matters, internal thoughts, emotion, experiences are all based on the interdependence. Interdependent power, the power of interdependence. Because of this, everything is functioning. Everything is functioning in the samsara. Everything is functioning in the sense of nirvana. The function of both samsara and the nirvana because of the power of interdependency. But from the viewpoint of the Theravada tradition, from the viewpoint of the Chittamata's school, from the viewpoint of the Madhyamika, slightly different. Slightly different, but they all have their own reason. All are same, but more profound and more essential in the Madhyamika school, when they precisely explained, then it is very much touched the deeper level of the interdependency. So, as Nagarjuna says, there is the phenomena of samsara, there is no phenomena of nirvana, which is not associated with the interdependency. Talking about emptiness, shunyata, the lack of inherent existence, is because of the interdependency. Tibetan word tendel. Ten means dependent, and del means the related or connection. Tendel is a very profound word, and of course the meaning as well. If we know this, or if we realize the tendel, the concept of the tendel, or the characteristic of the tendel, or the interdependence, this helps us to reduce the negative emotion. It helps us to reduce the physical pain and the suffering. It will help us to reduce the mental sickness and the disturbances. So it's so important for the Dhamma practitioners. It is not something philosophical term to emphasize, let you know the broader perspective of the Madhyamika school, which they are trying to tell you something else. But this is a very general and a very basic understanding of the whole Buddhism. Cause and effect, like a Four Noble Truths, this truth of suffering, and the cause of the truth of suffering, and the cessation and the path to cessation, all are functioning on the basis of the understanding or the reality of the interdependency. It's not only the viewpoint of a philosophy or intellectual view or theoretical view. It is very basic, it's so simple. Interdependency is so simple. Particularly in the Vajrayana perspective, visualization, there are two stages, the stage of the visualization and the stage of the accomplishment. Both these stages are based on the practice of the interdependency. So the foundation of the view meditation conduct is the knowledge or the understanding of the interdependency. A simple way of explanation, like a flower in front of us, or any external matters. So when we talk about matters, it's related the object of outside there. And then otherwise, we talk about emotion, thoughts, experience, which we are going through, we consider as a life. Life is with the emotion, life with the thoughts, life with the experience, both the joy and happiness and the suffering and the miseries are all our emotion, are all our experience. We call this as a life, the characteristic of the life. But the matter, talking about external objects, flower or anything, I can say there are two things. One, that is very much conventional, the way of interdependency. The other one is very much the deeper level of the interdependency. Now, conventional interdependency, like in matters of object, flower, is very much good example for the interdependency, to depend to each other. How we plant the flower first, and how much effort we put into to raise the flower, or to establish the flower, to make this come into its existence. So we put all our effort to lead such action. We have intention, motivation. Motivation, intention leads the action of the body and the speech, right? So you see, even a simple matter like a flower, to make it into its existence, we need to depend on a lot of associations surrounding things, putting into, make it existence. This shows us, or this indicates, that nothing is come into its existence independently. Very clear. It's very clear. Everything come into its existence from the power of its interdependency. Nothing can be functioned, nothing can be existed independently. Everything, electricity, table, or carpet, or pillar, or roof, house, whatever, everything come into its existence by power of interdependency. So what makes us to understand that, or what benefit you get from it, that makes you feel much relieved your anxiety, your stress. So it's very much related. When someone has a lack of this knowledge or experience or understanding, some unexpected matters come, you lost your control because of the lack of such knowledge. You expect something happen is very unexpected, which is supposed not to be happened, but it happened. It makes you restless, it makes you anxious, it makes you unhappy because lack of such knowledge. If someone else who has the solid understanding or the knowledge of such, then any matter like unexpected situation or the tragic event come to you, and you feel much comfortable and relieved because you understand the reality of things. Things come into its existence and it's gone because of the interdependence. That's why we explain the relationship or the connection between the causality and its effect or the result. There is no rational explanation, nobody can prove, but it is the reality. Therefore, Buddha Maitreya says in his teaching, the Mahayana Uttara Tantra Shastra, he said, the things which you examined but lack of approval, yet it happened. This is power of reality, which is interdependency. Wherever interdependence is existed, then anything can be happened. What do you mean unexpected? There is no unexpectation. There is no such thing. Everything can be happened. But this does not mean everything can make everything. It has its own specialties, the way of a function. So therefore, if we analyze or observe on the matters of the things like a flower, the glass, the crystal, microphone, or clock, or recorder, each and every aspect of these external factors, if you examine carefully the matters, you can gain an extraordinary understanding or the knowledge from the matters. Why? In the deeper level, nothing is separate. The external factors are never separate from your own mind. This is the essential function. This is the essential, the fundamental, the power of the functioning everything accordingly. We engage in the negative actions, as a result, suffering and the pain. Very common explanation. If we engage in positive action, like a virtuous action, then as a result, the joy, happiness, right? So if you analyze carefully with our limited wisdom, you cannot prove why it functions like this. So therefore, in Tibetan word, it's called Sammichapa, which is unthinkable. Unthinkable from the state of this dualistic mind. But as a wisdom, the clearer the obscurations, the mind becomes much clearer, purer, then there you can see everything. So that state we call the enlightened mind. So, not only external matters. So, it's not only the scientifically that you prove something, but you have to bring the analysis within the mind, the analysis of the mind, not the matters only. Because Madhyamika school in Buddhism, its theory or the view is the external matters, external factors are never separate from your mind. I could explain now, but lack of experience and a realization. So therefore, we still go through difficulties and hardship, miseries. Difficult to get through, right? So we are still struggling with the things. Although we call unwanted situation, but we are with that because of a lack of the realization, lack of actualization. So, not only Madhyamika school and the Chittamatra school, their view says the external phenomena are never separate from your internal phenomena, which means the innately never separate. Because of the power of interdependency of the mind, we can see all kinds of things in everyday life. We have all kinds of emotion, we have all kinds of thoughts, we have all kinds of experiences, and we have all kinds of matters and things in our lives. It's because of the power of interdependency. Then, like anger, hatred, which we feel is not right, and which we feel is not good, because the thought of anger, emotion of thought, the anger and hatred lead us to the suffering and the pain, sorrow. Therefore, we consider these thoughts are we call negative emotion, non-virtuous thought. But as a practitioner, we don't blame on anger and hatred itself. Because the anger, the thought of anger, the thought of hatred, the thought of jealousy, the thought of pride, whatsoever, we call negative thoughts, but these are very natural thoughts. Why we call negative thoughts? Because if we are not careful, when these emotions arise, then it leads to the samsara, to the cyclic existence, to the suffering, to the pain, to the misery. If you are able to catch the innate or the essence of those emotions and the thoughts, when these emotions arise, if you are mindfully able to catch the essence or the innate of those emotions, then you will be able to cooperate with those emotions, and those emotions cooperate to you to realize the true nature. I'm not talking about the true nature of mind, but the true nature of anything. Every matters do have their own true nature, own reality, which never diluted. Everything is pure. Therefore, in the Vajrayana teaching, all the forms are pure. All the sounds that you hear is the pure. All the thoughts arise are the pure. Why pure? Do you mean the anger is the pure? Yes, if you are able to catch yourself. If you're lost with the projection, then this is what we call illusion. The notion of illusion and the misconception are all based on ignorance. If you are able to catch the essence of the ignorance, the notion of misconcept or the notion of the illusion are gone. It's just a momentary if you are able to apply everything accordingly. But the lack of our diligence, wisdom, attention, we are not attentive, although we do practice. We do prostration, we do recitation, we do visualization, and we do retreat. We do sessions of the practice. We do all kinds of practice in everyday life as a Buddhist, as a practitioner. But the lack of the attentiveness and the lack of wisdom and the lack of attention, lack of mindfulness, therefore we lost in between with the projection. Manjushri says, if your mind turn outward, then see the things that truly existent outside there, we call samsara. If your mind turn inward and are able to see this self-arising wisdom or awareness, so we call the moment of the enlightenment. So it's just a second. There's not much left, big gap in between the samsara and the nirvana. It's just to turn your mind outwardly or the inwardly. That's it. It's simple if you are serious with your own practice. It's so simple. If your mind is deceived by external factors, then you lost. These projections are so tricky. We have to know this. Every single aspect of the projection of form, sound, smell, the taste, whatsoever, are all very tricky. They all have their own trick. So, they can fool you around if inner quality is missed. Inner qualities are within us always, but it's hidden. It's the covered. Now, in order to discover it, we have to open our mind, that we have to work with every single matters. We have to be very clever. We have to be very wise to work with the matters, experience, emotion, and thoughts. We call this as life, isn't it? When we talk about life, what is the life? How do you define the characteristic of the life? It is something related to very much, almost inseparable sense of inseparability with your own emotion, own thought, and own experience, that regardless good or bad. So practice means we have to pay attention every single aspect of our life. Interdependence is not something subject that is invented by Nagarjuna in the philosophy way of thinking. It is invented by reality. It's natural. It is there. Just a matter of discovering or not. Just a matter of realizing it or not. That's the matter. So Nagarjuna given us the idea of the interdependency, given us the way of the interdependency. If we are able to meet up with the interdependency, then we will be capable to overcome our suffering and the pain. We are not capable yet because we cannot combat directly to the conflict or the confusion. We have a strong notion of things that is really like making two separate things, samsara, which we need to be abandoned or given up. Things so-called nirvana, which we are trying to adopt it or actualize it. So we have two different notions in our mind, right? Therefore, we are engaging the virtuous action and we are trying to avoid a non-virtuous action. So that is also related to the mind of a duality, isn't it? As long as the dualistic mental attitude is existed within us, there is no free at all. There is no independent at all. There is no independence. So the power of free, I have to free myself. I have to free from the samsara. Nobody can free me at all. Who can help me to be free from the samsara? Buddha? Cannot. Bodhisattvas? Cannot. The deities? Cannot. How about the powerful Dhamma protectors like Mahakala? No. They cannot help us to get rid of these unwanted circumstances, which we technically call samsara. Samsara is nothing else other than our own confusion. That is the samsara. Samsara does not mean somewhere the things make you fool around. But I fool myself. Nobody fool me around. Nobody. I myself fooling around. I am deceiving myself. Nobody is deceiving me. I am deceiving myself. I am fooling myself around because of lack of mindfulness, lack of wisdom, lack of attention, and the lack of a continuity of our practice. Our practice very much depends on the situation, right? There's no stable continuity in our practice. Let's say we do retreat. How long? You have a limit time. 1 week, 2 weeks, or 1 month, or 1 year, maybe too much for you. Even 2 weeks maybe sounds quite too much. Nobody wants to do for 2 weeks. 5 days, 7 days. So the best retreat is everyday life, with the full of attention, with the full of wisdom. That's the best retreat. What the sense of retreat? or the meaning of retreat, that you are working with your mental attitude. That is the purpose of the retreat, isn't it? Retreat does not mean that someone just sit inside the cave or in the solitude retreat and then to block everything. Block your sensories, block your mind, to block your visions, to block everything. You just sit there and try to keep distance, world or external factor. That is not the sense of the retreat. Retreat means you are working with your mind. You are reshaping your mental attitude. You are training your mind. You are examining your mind and mental attitude. That is the purpose of doing retreat. As a method, we apply all kinds of practices. You can practice Four Noble Truths, the bodhicitta, compassion, loving kindness, and the Vajrayana practice like visualization, the recitation. So there are all kinds of methods, are all for the training of your mind. If you are failed to apply those methods within, then your purpose of doing retreat is gone. So, as a method, philosophy, like in Madhyamika, the philosophy of Madhyamika, or philosophy of a Chittamatra school, anything, they emphasize like view, the meditation, the conduct. As a result, then the fruition from these three, the view, meditation, and the conduct. What does it mean? There's nothing separate. Or view, this is meditation, this is conduct. All these three are interconnected to each other very strongly. View is what? View on interdependency. We have to train everyday life. It's so simple. We have plenty of matters to observe. Matters as an object of view, experience or emotion or thought is also the object of our view. As Milarepa says, every single phenomena are the supporter of your own meditation. Every phenomena. The rays, the sound of wind, air, the sound of a wave, the sound of birds, the sound of anything that you can hear are all as an object of your meditation. Therefore, Milarepa says, I don't need to depend on solid spiritual master. As a teaching from my own spiritual master, I realize every aspect of the phenomena became my teacher and a master. The movement, walking, eating, talking, doing, anything is a supporter of your meditation and your practice. It's so essential and very interesting. If we apply this, we can easily experience how much we are able to make the differences from day to day, from the practice. We are solely relying on the spiritual master's advice and instruction. It's difficult to overcome all our shortcomings, negativities, obstacles, hindrances. It's so difficult. As a teacher, as a teaching, as an instruction, they strongly advise us to apply every aspect of a phenomena as a teaching, as an instruction. Kadamba masters, pain, suffering, is the best teacher and the best instruction. So must not forget or must not be forgetful with each and every aspect of our daily life are all very beneficial and helpful if we apply them within for the purpose of progressing of our practice. So interdependency is nothing else other than our normal daily life's experience. We don't need to put too much effort into for the realization of interdependency. It's very simple and a very open and a very direct and a very walkable. It's very walkable. Things come, things go, things work. It's a reality. Because of this, we are going through. If we realize that, then our suffering and the mental suffering, physical suffering will be lessened and subdued, definitely. Because of lack of knowledge of interdependency, that we hold on to things very solidly. Therefore, we are very incapable to overcome our own problems. To release my tension, depression, my anxiety, that if I solely meditate on interdependency, it helps. It helps a lot and a lot and a lot. If we continue, then I'm very sure after some time we can get rid of all these unwanted pain and sufferings. So first we have to analyze the external matters. It's so important. It's not so easy to work with our emotion directly. It's very difficult. The first, the external factor. Because external factors, our emotion arises most of the time. When we see beauty, and then the attachment arises. When we see the ugliness thing, and then the feeling of that emotion arises. Sound, we hear the pleasant sound that makes us happy. Unpleasant sound makes us unhappy, you see. So the emotion is very much, related to the external factors. So our first step is to be examined the external factors. How does it function? Where does it exist? How does it came? How does it came into its existence? We can't find further than that. Just a matter of the connection or the relation between the cause and the result. That's it. That's why I'm saying it's not a rational process that you can prove everything solidly because of this, because of that. So therefore Buddha Maitreya says it's unthinkable, or it's just beyond our normal concept. The more you analyze the external factors, the more you analyze your internal emotional thoughts, that you are much closer and near towards the reality, which is completely beyond the examination. It's just a matter of the meditation. If you are able to catch, you can experience and you realize everything, but cannot express. Cannot prove, but you can prove yourself, but cannot prove verbally, cannot prove the physically, but can prove with experience. So that is called the mind of enlightenment. So view means we have to change in everyday life. When you see the good things, when you hear good things, or opposite, when you see bad things, or when you hear unpleasant sound, then you should examine what is it? What does it mean? If you analyze it, then we call this the pure view. That is to call the view. We view mentally with the wisdom. So need to apply wisdom to view everything correctly. Now incorrectly we are viewing, right? Things existed something else from what you have believed. Like a flower is not truly existed. It's not inherently existed. It's not solidly existed there. Something independently so-called flower is there with its beauty of color, shape, smell, whatsoever. We believe that the flower you pay expensive, is so expensive, you buy it from the market, and you believe this flower is very expensive. I bought it from the shop. I pay much money because of its beauty. Clinging, grasping your mind onto flower. You hold onto flower so solidly that you don't want to lose this flower. If somebody is stealing this flower or damage this flower, leads what? Anger, right? You see, that even the external factor, like a simple flower, cause you big problem if you are not careful. It takes time to overcome your problem from the flower. You lost the flower yesterday, but the anger is still there today, or could be lasted tomorrow also. You are showing a long face, right? You are unhappy, you are very moody, you don't want to talk to your friends. Somebody asks you what's wrong with you, you would say, somebody damaged my flower 3 days back. Or maybe you could say, or maybe a week before, or even a month before. This guy damaged my flower. You're never forgiven to this person. You see, flower cause you unexpected situation. Why? Flower is innocent, isn't it? Damaging flower is also innocent. Damaging means that this beauty of flower is distorted. We call damage. But if you analyze carefully, this is an interdependency. Things come and go. Things come into good shape and then they de-shape or deactivated or whatever. It's power of interdependency. But because of the power of duality, we created all these problems because of the negative habitual tendencies. I blame myself, isn't it? As a practitioner, I should blame. That's why Shantideva's teaching in Bodhisattva Jaya Avatara, the way of Bodhisattva life, he has given a good example. Somebody hit your head with the stick or throw a piece of stone, right? So got hurt from the stone or stick. Immediately, I am angry at this person who has bitten my head. But I never get angry with the stick or the stone, right? Why? My proposal is, I would say, because of the person. He has intentionally bitten me, therefore the stone or the stick is innocent, nothing to do. Because of the person, he has intention, he has a motivation. That's why I am angry at him or her, not the stone. Because the stone is just thrown by a person, not the stone itself jump and then hit on my head. Then the Shantideva says, if this is the case, okay, then what happened? You say stone or stick is powerless because of the human, right? So you got hurt. That's why you are angry at a person, not a stick. If this is the case, then from his logic, Shantideva says, then the person himself or herself is also innocent, like a stone or a stick, because he or she pushed by his or her anger. If you are angry, then you must get angry with their anger, not the person. Did you ever consider that their anger is the most criminal? The cause of all this problem is from their anger, confusion. Not the person, not the stick, not the stone, right? It's very logical, it's very helpful if you think of this way, if we think of this way. The powerful, the ultimate destroyer, the destroyer of our ultimate joy and happiness is the anger, confusion. Because of the power of confusion and anger, everybody become powerless. Therefore, practice with the compassion is worthwhile, isn't it? It's worthy. Otherwise, if anger is sentient beings' nature, if anger is inseparability of the sentient beings, the nature, then there's no point to practice compassion or loving kindness. To be compassionate for what? Because it's not going to use, it's not going to be worked. The compassion is there, loving kindness is there, because we knew very well, or we understand very well, the sentient beings' innocence. But because of the power of negativity, the power of confusion, the power of ignorance, therefore sentient beings are wandering in this samsara. In order to get rid of this powerful suffering, the powerful ignorance, the powerful confusion, we cultivate the compassion, the loving kindness is worthy. It's irrational. So wisdom, the mind of wisdom leads the compassion, loving kindness. If there is no wisdom, simply or solely you are trying to cultivate compassion, is not going to be powerful at all. That compassion will become very limited. This compassion will never become a limitless power to be benefiting, far-reaching benefiting the sentient beings. So therefore, interdependence helps us when you are facing pain, suffering. If you apply the concept or the understanding of the interdependency, the power of anger, the power of unpleasant emotion or the feeling will be reduced. Definitely. Definitely. Therefore, it's not only the way of the philosophical way of thinking, it is a practical way of thinking. As long as I want myself to be free from the pain and the suffering and the cause of pain and the suffering, then only option to us is to depend on the realization of the interdependency. That's going to be very helpful. We simply cannot think of emptiness of all phenomena. Cannot. This is not going to be workable. This is not going to be workable. Somebody criticize you, the sound is very unpleasant, isn't it? Very unpleasant. Cannot bear it, cannot tolerate somebody really criticize in front of you, then you become helpless. But that moment, if we apply interdependency, you're sure your anger much less, much less. We can't simply think, oh, this unpleasant sound is emptiness. No, cannot. It will not work. Definitely not. If somebody remind you emptiness, it's not going to be worked. In fact, you get more anger. In fact, you will get more angry when you hear sound like that. Isn't that true? Because when I'm angry at someone, then intolerable emotion. If somebody remind me bodhicitta, sure, I will get more angry. Yes, you better walk away from me. Yes, this shows lack of a training, lack of continuity, lack of everyday practice. We do practice limitedly. I do today, okay, tomorrow, no more. I do practice of compassion, maybe day after tomorrow, but the next day, no more. So you see, there's no continuity. There's no continuity. Therefore, we cannot fight with the power of confusion. The power of confusion is always there, like a powerful man or woman. And he thinks that I'm the king. Nobody can challenge me, right? So work with it very skillfully. The skillful in the sense of that everyday life, we have to pay attention. With our emotion, with any circumstances that come to us, we have to be very careful. It's not so easy. It's not so easy because of that we have all kinds of practices, methods, the remedies, antidotes from the Theravada way, Mahayana way, Vajrayana way. Within the Vajrayana there are there are different classes. These are all because designed by our Lord Buddha, by the great masters, because they confirmed working with our emotion, working with our confusion is not as simple as what we believe. So therefore, as a practitioner, interdependency then is so important. The concept is so simple. Everything comes interdependently, not independently. If it is independent, then we cannot do anything. Like anger, the thought of anger or emotion anger. If anger is solidly or independently existed, inherently existed, then no matter how much practice we do for the purpose of eliminating this powerful anger, you cannot eliminate this anger at all. Cannot. Because the anger is existed independently. Independent means that thing is no longer need to depend on other. When it comes independently. It not created or make it into its existence by cause and effect. Like a flower, to become into this beauty. So this beauty depend or rely on many other causes and effects. Therefore, the flower it came. And after some time, the flower will be gone. Because this indicates flower itself is not independent flower. And my body also same, like as an individual, we came in this world by power of cause and effect and many other conditions. And we are still existing. And after some time we will die and we will be gone, because it shows that we are not independent. Only independence is our realization, our actualization, our reality. That is the independence. That independence is always with us, but because of the confusion and the deluded mind, it's covered, it's hidden. Therefore, we are not able to see the reality. We are still going through with the wisdom of study, wisdom of contemplation, and the wisdom of the meditation. So then, interdependency, when your anger arises, when jealousy arises, when attachment arises, any emotion we call disturbing emotion. Why you call it disturbance? Because these emotions disturb your mental stability. Therefore, you call this disturbance. But we don't care. It disturbs, yet we don't care. It disturbs seriously, very seriously. It makes us restless. It makes our mind restless. No stability, forgetful. Meeting all these unwanted circumstances are all caused by the confusion. So confusion is all these thoughts. But as I said a week ago, the thoughts themselves simply not disturbing us at all. So therefore we don't blame on the thoughts. Disturbing by holding onto them solidly. That's the disturbance. We call clinging, grasping, holding, right? Mentally holding emotion so solidly. When anger arises, you follow the anger. Anger leads us away from our own reality. Anger is not our reality at all. If you are able to see the essence or the innate of the anger, then the anger is never separate from your own reality, which is your own true nature. True nature never disturbed by these aspects, so-called anger or jealousy. That's just a perception. These are just a perception. If you are able to catch them accordingly, then you are able to get closer to the reality of yourself. Because of the help from these emotions, you are able to see your own true nature. There is no way other. If you ignore, if you neglect your own emotion, then we are trying to see our own nature impossible. Impossibly, you can see your own true nature. So therefore, as a Kadamba masters, especially in the Vajrayana teaching, these emotions as a tool, instrument, or the tool to you to get into the reality. So we need it. We need all this emotion, like anger, the jealousy. But when anger and the jealousy arise, then you have to be careful. We have to be cautious. We have to be mindful. If you are mindful, cautious, alert, then you are able to see the innate or the nature of these emotions, which is never separate from your own true nature. Because of these emotions, you are able to get into your own reality or able to discover your own true nature. So therefore it's so helpful with our emotion. If you work with your emotion capably, skillfully, if you are forgetful, if you ignore yourself, if you follow your own imprint, negative habitual tendencies, then you will never be able to get rid of. Because of this, there's no two separate things, so-called samsara or nirvana. There's no two phenomena. We say samsara, nirvana. There's no such two things separately existed there. These two inseparable. These two inseparable. When you are able to catch yourself, then that is the nirvana. When you're lost in projection, it's a samsara. So it's just the fact of mind, mental factor, the mind factor. Mind is so sensitive. We need to train so seriously, very seriously. It's not so easy. You can analyze too many things, but it's difficult to get rid of, to overcome. But apply such, like a very skillful manner of like interdependency, understanding of interdependency. Open up your mind and try to be more normal. Your mind open. Work with the phenomena. Work with your emotion skillfully. Then one day we can eliminate or transform these confusions or negative emotions into wisdom. Because transformation, in the sense, these emotions never separate from your reality, which is the Dhammadhatu, the clear mind. It's always a clear. Mind is so clear, so brilliant and aware, always clear, never diluted by external factors or emotion. Never touch our pure mind. Never. Never before, never in the future. That's why we have a great opportunity to be enlightened, to get rid of, to be able to transform our emotion into wisdom. If we do not work with our emotion, there is no other way or chance to be seeing our own true nature. Never. Without relying on these emotions, there is no other way to be able to see our own true nature. But working with our emotion is so important. Therefore, we have to be very cautious. Very cautious. Shantideva says, the meditation of Shunyata is not the subject for the beginners. For the beginners, the most important meditation is to be mindful. Mindfulness helps you to bring or to get into the meditation of Shunyata. So the quality of the fruition is a source of quality of the fruition is the mindfulness. It's so important. Mindfulness, characteristic of the mindfulness is what? To work with my mind. In our daily life, lack of mindfulness, we get all kinds of problems, isn't it? We forget things, and we fall down, and we meet up all these unpleasant situations. All the negative, the incidences are all come from where? Come from the lack of mindfulness. If we are very mindful, we can reduce our risks, our negativities, and our obstacles, our hindrances. So the mindfulness is so important. With the mindfulness, we work with our emotion. So therefore, Shantideva has given 3 different categories. First is recognition. We cannot work directly with our emotion. The first is a recognition. To be recognized our emotion. When anger arises, we have to recognize it is anger. When pride arises, we have to recognize, oh, this is emotion of pride. So this is disturbance. Hatred arises, we have to recognize now the hatred, emotion of hatred is arising. So therefore, you see, the recognition is very much mindfulness. No mindfulness, no recognition. Recognition is very much based on mindfulness. Once you are recognized, or you apply recognition each and every time when those powerful emotions arise, then you see the power of emotion to overwhelm our body, speech, and mind is getting less and less and less. Why keep all this emotion arising in everyday life? Why these emotions disturb my restless or my mental stability? Because of lack of mindfulness. So therefore, the emotion does have more chances to be overwhelmed you, to control you, to dominate you. So it's just a matter of attention, isn't it? If you pay more attention with your mental attitude, each and every time when those emotions arise, then the chances to those emotions to attack you or to rule you, to dominate you become much less and less and less. This is obvious. It's so simple. That's why practice is simple. It's just simple. We cannot say it's a so difficult subject to be practiced. Why difficult? Because no mindfulness. Why difficult? Because of laziness. We are very lazy from the beginning of the time and are still lazy. We know this is not right, but still no choice. We are lazy. And we are moody. And we mood off something. Well, it's still okay. But at least we have to continue, right? Profundity of teachings, Madhyamika teaching, Vajrayana teaching, Mahamudra teaching, is not profound at all if you do not apply. Why you call these teachings are so profound? Because your power of duality is still there. Your laziness is still there. Lack of mindfulness is still there. Therefore, the teachings are so profound that you are nearly cannot perceive or understand. If you are so careful, if you are able to guard your faculties and the sensories in your mind and apply the mindfulness and the cautiousness, then the teachings are much easier. Much easier. And you can perceive easily, and you can gain experience from the practice much, much easier. So, the subject, the interdependency, is for the entire practitioners to overcome our unnecessary or needless the pain and the suffering and obstacles. So the interdependence is not the term of like the technical term, it's not technical term, it's not philosophical term, it is a practical term. It is practical term. And also the term of reality. All phenomena are existed in the reality of interdependency. Because of this, I can work with my emotion, I can work with anything that I can overcome from obstacles, I can free from my problem and the suffering. Because of this, interdependence is so helpful, is needed. Some, they don't understand of this, therefore they consider this is a philosophical term. Okay, still okay, it's a philosophical term. It is a philosophical term. The philosophy is source of your true understanding. If you use properly. If you misuse the philosophy, it gives you more confusion. So the word is not so important. The terminology is not so important. The importance of the philosophy is to be realized, to be actualized, whatever you have learned. That's why Milarepa says, every aspect of a phenomena is his teacher. He says, I'm so joyful, I'm so happy because in every day I could see all kinds of things are all become my teacher and my master. Even the sound of a wave, sound of a waterfall, sound of a bird, sound of trees, sound of anything, even the rays and the lights are all his teacher, his master, because he could learn all kinds of things from each and every those the matters, those things. So that is because of the power of interdependency. Because of the interdependency, we could progress our meditation, our practice. So I have to work with myself. Nothing to do with the powerful master, the powerful teacher, powerful teaching. The most powerful person is myself. Myself. If I trust myself, I can work with it. It's not that I trust you, because of that I can free from the samsara. No. I can be free from the samsara if I trust myself fully and confidently. Then I can work with study, contemplation, meditation, and I can work with my emotion and everything. If a lack of trust in myself, there's no other way. Nobody can persuade you to practice, to meditate. No, cannot. So, the steps. The first, we have to learn the interdependency or interdependent origination of the external factors, like good things, bad things whatsoever. The good and the bad is our notion of the misconcept and the illusion, but in the reality there's no such thing. Such notion is there. Then slowly we go into our emotion and the thoughts, right? So then we will know the strong relation or the connection between external factor phenomena and the internal phenomena. Is never separate. Is never separate. Then ultimately, then only the mind of enlightenment can be seen, the true nature. From there, then we can respect all sentient beings. Why I respect sentient beings? Why I have to be so generous? Why I have to be so patient with the sentient beings? Why I have to be so kind to all sentient beings? Because of the power of knowledge from the interdependency. So you see, interdependence brings you all the qualities: compassion, loving kindness, understand, consideration, forgiveness, tolerance. Everything is come from interdependency. I cannot train you, say that, oh, you should respect him because he has Buddha nature. You should respect her because she has Buddha nature. This will not help you to overcome your confusion. So the only way that you can avoid the confusion is the understanding or the knowledge of interdependency. More you analyze, or more you practice with the interdependency, and then the more clearer the understanding of the reality. From there, then the respect to the other sentient beings, the tolerance and the generosity, discipline or morality, the concentrated meditation, diligence are all will be arising from this. So that is the most powerful, the practice. So it's just a matter of our daily life, right? It's nothing to do with your session. You do it in the retreat place, or you do it in your session or in your meditation. It is our daily life. We go outside, we talk with the people, we do all kinds of things. So these are the object or the matter of interdependency. We must not forget or ignore the external factors. We have to accept things, the external factors, as our object of understanding or the knowledge. So that's it. So this morning